Well, it was Fast Friday at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but it was really Cautious Friday. You may be able to tell I'm wearing a hat today for I think the first time in a video in quite a while, and the reason is wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour, maybe a little bit more today, which absolutely wreaked havoc on this day of practice for the Indianapolis 500. Ed Carpenter described the conditions as the most unique and crazy conditions he had ever seen. And what was the ultimate combination that created this unprecedented, really weather situation where you really didn't have all that much running today? Now, most of the cars got out and ran a representative qualifying simulation. Some of them didn't, though, and that was straight up and down to the weather. So last night, it thunderstormed. It washed all of the rain, or washed all of the rubber, the rain did, off of the racetrack. Couple that with this 30 mile per hour. Wait, you can see how much that paper's blowing? The really strong winds. In fact, I had my hat blow across Gasoline Alley at one point. So you have strong winds, no rubber. You have the high boost. This is the first time they've run this boost this year. Speeds in excess of 230 miles per hour today. And then the conditions were hot. So the track was hot. It had no rubber on it. They were going faster than they have ever gone before this month. And then you had a lot of wind, particularly in turn 2. That wind and those conditions created our first wall contact of the day, and that is, or of the month really, but also of the day. And that's probably the reason you have clicked on this video. Jimmie Johnson, 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, got high in turn 2, caught the wall, thankfully, caught it square, ultimately didn't have a bigger crash than he actually did. I'll call it a crash, or at least a wall hit. It was enough to white wall the car. They had to take it back to the garage. He lost track time. So Jimmie Johnson's month, you knew it was going to happen eventually. Jimmie was going to hit the wall in an Indy car at some point. This was the best possible way I'm sure he could have hit it, because obviously it wasn't a massive accident. It didn't set the team back too far, and hopefully it didn't hurt his confidence, because ultimately at the end of the day, you have race car drivers who have hit the wall and race car drivers who are going to hit the wall here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's just the nature of the beast. So let's take a look at how they stacked up today in final practice before qualifying for the Indianapolis 500 Fast Friday. And third verse, same as the first and the second one. Takuma Sato is legit. Now, all of these times I need to mention are no-toe times, meaning there was no aerodynamic help to achieve these speeds. So these speeds are all legit, and hopefully all for qualifying, legit for looking at qualifying tomorrow. Obviously, these were such tough conditions as well. These speeds are really incredible, particularly the 232.7 that Takuma Sato was able to put together. Now, he wasn't able to quite do that for 4 laps. And remember, Indianapolis 500 qualifying is 4 laps, 10 miles. Alexander Rossi set that 231 mile per hour average very early in the day. Pato O'Ward at 237.7, or 31.7, not 237.7, that would be a track record. But what's important about Pato O'Ward is that he drew first in the qualifying line. He'll have, allegedly, the best conditions tomorrow for speed. Marcus Ericsson in 4th, showing that Chip Ganassi prowess. Scott Dixon did not run very much today, ran a couple laps, put it in the barn and said it was okay. He lifted in all 4 corners. Importantly, though, he drew 18th in the qualifying lottery. So not ideal conditions for Scott Dixon, but Colton Herta did put a front car on the front row in not all the ideal conditions last year. Felix Rosenquist showing the strength of the Arrow McLaren SP duo, or trio, and Dave Malukas. I was thinking about duo. Dave Malukas, who you'll hear from later today at 231 miles an hour. The Dale Coyne Racing team is extremely strong. Tony Kanaan had the fastest 4-lap average in the field across the board, again showing the strength and consistency of the Chip Ganassi racing cars. Scott McLaughlin, the fastest Team Penske car today, but they didn't run very much. Joseph Newgarden right behind him, and Will Power right behind him. Extremely consistent. Reminds me of the Team Penske dominant years back in the 1980s and 1990s, where they wouldn't run very much, they'd go fast and dominate the race. Alex Palou in P12. Remember, looking at the first 12 positions, you have to think that that is what is going to transfer to the pole shootout on Sunday. Sage Karam at over 230 miles an hour. He was so relieved to have run that speed after struggling to qualify the last couple of years. Connor Daly at 230.5. He went 243 miles an hour on the back straightaway today. Romain Grosjean at 230.7. Callum Ilott at 230.1. You'll hear from him later. Jimmie Johnson, after hitting the wall, only cracked the 229 mile per hour barrier. Marco Andretti doesn't seem super confident in his qualifying car, but is confident in his race car. Elio Castroneves, defending car and driver for the Indianapolis 500. Rinus VeeKay told me this morning he'd run 229 miles an hour, and that's exactly what he did. But he's number 2 in the draw. I think he was sandbagging a little bit. I think you're going to see a speed of around 233 from him tomorrow, and possibly a front row starting position. Simon Pagenaud for Arrow McLaren, or sorry, not Arrow McLaren SP, but the Shank car. Take it to the Shank. Take Simon Pagenaud to the Shank, 229.1. Ed Carpenter at 228.3. You know he's going to be quick in qualifying. Dalton Kellogg drew 33rd with his 227.1. Graham Rahal struggled today. All the Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan cars struggled today. Devlin DeFrancesco at 226. Santino Ferrucci surprisingly at 226. He ran the most laps of anybody today. Stephen Wilson, impressive 226 from the Cusick Motorsports with AJ Foyt Racing and Dragon Speed entry. Jair Hildebrand at 226. Apparently Wilson and Hildebrand have very similar setups, as well as Kyle Kirkwood. Christian Lundgaard, the rookie, at 225 miles an hour. Jack Harvey, 31st at 224. You'll hear from him later. Juan Pablo Montoya still not showing very much at 223. Colton Herta never ran a full lap in practice and is at 220 miles an hour. I would not expect that tomorrow. I'm about to get blown off this roof right now, but outside of that, things are going well. There was an interesting thing I noticed in the number 5 Arrow McLaren SP pit for Pato Award today, and that was BBS wheels. And if you don't know, IndyCar's wheels are not spec. Hey, they've got that over Formula One. There are 2 wheel choices, and I decided, since there was a lot of downtime today, to shoot a bit of a feature on the differences between the 2 wheel choices for IndyCar teams. So who says everything in IndyCar is spec? Teams do have a choice with the wheels. And it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm going to educate you here. This is a BBS wheel. This is an OZ wheel. The OZ wheel, believe it or not, started in IndyCar racing in around 1996, or at least this type of OZ wheel. Obviously, OZ and BBS have been around for a lot longer than that. The BBS wheel we first saw in about 2007 on the Panos DP01 Champ car. And only one team runs this particular wheel, at least on the regular, and that is Andretti Autosport. Now, the reason, of course, we're looking at this wheel today is because Arrow McLaren SP, I spotted these wheels on their car. Now, Andretti Autosport only runs these on the front wheels. You can see this is Marco Andretti's wheel right here. Now, for whatever reason, Andretti Autosport does this. Rahal actually copied it a couple of years ago, and at the time I asked the Rahal engineers, well, why did you do that? And at the time, they said it was less drag. It's kind of interesting that only one team, and maybe 2, asterisk, with the Arrow McLaren SP team will run that. Now, the way you can tell the difference as a fan is on the OZ wheel, there's this, I guess you could call it shield. It's almost like a half a plate that goes all the way around the outside. And also, the other difference is the valve stem placement. And now, it's not important so much on the ovals, because if you're hitting the wall, you're probably breaking the wheel anyway. But interesting, wow, the tire's trying to blow away there, and trust me, I'm not moving it. But you can see the valve stem placement here on the OZ wheel. On the road courses, you can remember a couple of years ago with Andretti Autosport, they had a lot of flat tires when they had side-to-side contact. Well, that's because of the valve stem placement. So it's interesting to kind of see the difference in these 2 wheels. And again, it's a choice that the teams have. Not many choose the BBS. A lot of teams choose the OZs. And of course, it wouldn't be one of these videos without an interview segment. We talked to some drivers you haven't heard from this month. I think they give you some really great perspective, and one of them is, I think actually 2 of the drivers I talked to today are a real threat and shot for Rookie of the Year honors at the Indianapolis 500 this year.
Man, it feels very good. The conditions today were so tough. Definitely this morning, I was like going into turn 1, and I noticed once I was able to like relax, and right before turn, I felt my foot, and my foot was shaking, you know, trying to stay on the power. Because these gusts, it's you have no idea what the car's going to do. You go into a corner, it's either going to understeer, it's going to wash, it's going to slide. And throughout all of it, the car kind of took it like a champ. Throughout the end of the day, we ended up figuring out what we actually really needed, and the 4-lap average ended up being very good.
How important has been Takuma Sato to your development and picking up this so quickly? This is tough to do.
Yeah, I mean, as everybody sees, he keeps topping the chart. I mean, this morning he was like taking it easy, and all of a sudden it finally does a run, and he just puts it, P2 like casually, and having that by my side has helped a lot. I mean, I've been able to take massive strides. He gave me so many tips going into qualifying today. Many little things that going into it I probably would have freaked out if I didn't know. So a lot of thanks to him, and thank you to the team. I mean, it's looking very good.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'm sure it'll help everybody a bit. I mean, I think for us, our car seems to be super sensitive to any wind or anything kind of detrimental, so certainly hoping for better conditions.
Pretty painful, to be honest. I mean, like, obviously there was a bit of the nerves yesterday when I'm like, okay, it's going to be windy, and yesterday was already tricky. Oh, sorry. And then, yeah, with the boost up, going in the first, I only did 2 runs in the day, so going in the first run earlier this morning, I was like, oh, it's pretty loose, but I'll just feel it out. Got to the second lap, I'm like bailing on that because it just was changing so much in turn 2, 3. And then we made a few adjustments and we're waiting out, hoping the wind would die down, didn't. So I just sent it at the end, and yeah, not too bad. I think there's room for more, but we were quite conservative as well. So
we spoke to Ryan Hunter-Ray, who's helping you out a lot this month. And how important has it been to have an Indy 500 winner on your team, kind of helping your team out?
To be honest, it really it just how would I say, secures what we're doing. You know, obviously he's had a lot of experience, knows exactly how it works around this place, and anything that I'm struggling with, he's able to help me. And of course, I'm the only one without a teammate here. So for me, anything that I feel, I'm like, there's no one else to back it up. So to have Ryan here is brilliant for that, and it's really kind of developed me and developed the team. And we're getting there, I think, slowly.
So tomorrow is day 1 of qualifying for the Indianapolis 500. Now, what tomorrow will do is set who will be shooting out for the pole. The top 12 will be shooting out for the pole on Sunday. Everybody else from 12th to 30, or from 13th to 33rd, will lock in their positions tomorrow, presuming, of course, that all 3 competitors get at least 1 attempt to qualify for the Indianapolis 500. If they don't, everyone will qualify on Sunday, and it'll be a one-shot deal. But if everybody qualifies tomorrow, you'll lock in positions 33 through 13, and then 1 through 12 will join the pole position shootout on Sunday, which is kind of a different, a new way of looking at like what we were previously used to with the Fast 9. You're just adding an extra row. So it's the first 4 rows of the grid that will go for the pole position on Sunday. Now, a few things I want to say. Number 1, Takuma Sato, absolutely legit, I believe, at least for pole position. I think Rinus VK, like I said, absolutely saving something. I think the Ed Carpenter boys are all going to be up there going for it. But I think Team Penske and Team Ganassi are absolutely holding things back. I think they are going to absolutely wow us with speed tomorrow. Again, presuming that the weather works out. Actually, IndyCar has moved the schedule up, and I'm glad they put that on the board up there. The gates open at 8 a.m. You have practice from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. and then, or a.m. Not p.m. We're not racing at night yet here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Whoa, was that a teaser? I don't know. Qualifying is at 11 a.m. and it will go until the end of the day. And hopefully it goes to the end of the day, because while we won't have bumping, and that sucks, and it should not be that this is the segment or the way qualifying is going forward, where we don't have any bumping. But for this year, tomorrow is going to be where you kind of get some of that bumping. You're going to have people pulling in and out of line. You're going to have people playing the games in the qualifying line and going for faster speeds. It should be fairly exciting tomorrow. You should be able to tune in. I think it's only on Peacock tomorrow. Yeah, whatever. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. I think I've told you a few times before, my prediction for pole speed is 233 miles an hour, at least for tomorrow. Maybe they'll pull something out on Sunday. We'll have to wait and see. And for a pole sitter, well, Fast 12, I think you're looking at the Ganassi guys, that's 5. And then you need 9 more. So you go 3 from Penske, 3 from Carpenter, 2 from Arrow McLaren SP, and a couple of Andretti guys, maybe a Shank guy up in there. maybe someone will really surprise us. How about Dave Malukas? There's another one. So two from Coin. Is that 12? Or is that more than 12? I don't know. I can't do math. It's fine. That's your pool you're looking for the Fast 12 tomorrow. And if anybody else gets in there, whoa, that's going to be a shock. But that's why we run the race, right? It shouldn't be predictable. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.